The kind of the goal of this negotiating with vendors conversation is to open our eyes to potential issues that we have with pricing and make us aware of pricing in the first place and how we can really improve that as an organization. And it's not just one person that has an impact on it. You guys are going to have a huge impact on what that actually looks like and areas that we need to focus on and improve in. So you guys are going to have a ton of say into this as well. The first thing I want to go over is what is an actual vendor. For me, it was interesting because I was in this trade probably 5 years before I actually understood what a vendor's role was and what they did. I always felt like they were the manufacturer. So in my profession, I really started my career in residential. So it looked like that's who we used. That was our vendor. It was a manufacturer, and then also in my mind, the vendor was also, but they're two different things. So you have manufacturer, which is, and then you have the vendor, which is actually or. So they're two different things. So first off, I want you guys to understand what the difference is of those two and be able to identify the difference so that way we can figure out ways to negotiate with them. So they're going to be distributors. They're the middleman. They're going to buy materials from the manufacturer, put them in a warehouse, and then sell it to the contractor, to Kalos, to us. So that's really their primary role. There's a lot of things that they can and cannot do. Certain things that they can't do is improve equipment quality, actually impact the supply chain. Those are areas that a vendor can't control. So what they can control is the products that they choose to purchase, the products that they choose to warehouse, replacement parts that they choose to warehouse, and how they get that to us as a distributor. So effectively shipping, keeping enough inventory in stock for us as a team, making our job as a GC, as a residential contractor, as a commercial contractor, easier. So keeping a lot of stock items in their warehouses easily accessible for us. That is their role. And a lot of, I feel like vendors sometimes miss out on that, or a lot of contractors don't lean on them heavily enough to really do their job and make it easy for us. A lot of times they'll say, well, why don't you just stock it up in your warehouse? It's confusing to me because that is their primary role. Their primary role is to have warehouses to make materials easily accessible for us as an organization. So we need to be able to lean on them to perform in their role. Some other things that they cannot control, pricing trends, raw materials, they're not going to have control over that. Warranty conditions and processes, they're not going to have a lot of control over that. The manufacturer is the one who actually puts that in place. So that's going to be more relevant with equipment, whether that's in residential or commercial. That's going to be primarily on the manufacturer, not the vendor. As far as things that they can control, pricing, they're going to have quite a bit of a say in that. So I can pretty much guarantee you most vendors are going to get really, really good pricing, and then they're going to mark it up and sell it to us. That's how they make money. Some vendors are really competitive and others are not, and we need to be able to identify that. They also have, the ability to prioritize us as a contractor. So we want to make sure that they are doing that, and we'll get into that a little bit more. What they can and can't control is fairly impactful to our business day in and day out.
Let me just add that when we talk about vendors, a lot of what we're focusing on here are materials, equipment, but there's different types of vendors as well. You have crane vendors, yep, who are providing services to us. We're generally going to keep subcontractors out of the conversation for vendors. That's a little bit different, but things like job trailers would be a vendor, or renting any sort of equipment would be a vendor as well. So a lot of the rules or things that we're going to discuss here also apply to those types of vendors.
For vendors, Kalos is going to be a really attractive contractor to work with for a couple different reasons. The sheer volume that we do is substantial. And the negotiating position we are in today is substantially different than it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Payment history, we deliver payment. It's pretty much that simple. You don't want to have to be chasing payment, right? You want to do your job at the agreed price and get paid. So we really stand behind that. So we make sure we get them paid as quickly as possible, without any pushback, without any complaints. It's just a good relationship. You know, we understand the mutual benefit there that we have with them as a vendor. So that would be some of the common interests. As far as respecting vendors, I think this is an area that I don't think a lot of other contractors have. And it's something I want to push even more, and that's respecting, having a relationship that you respect the other person, right? For us to respect people, we have to kind of understand their role, and we went over some of that. But we also have to just appreciate them as human beings and understand that they have a lot of challenges and responsibilities as well that we don't see. What we can see is, I don't have X. I don't have this. I ordered this, right? And we can become very frustrated and angry. And trust me, you are not the only contractor that's frustrated right now. For the last 2.5 years, we've been in a situation where it's very difficult for vendors to get product from manufacturers. They've gotten to the point where they are now stockpiling and trying to control their inventory and allocating it to organizations so that it's fair, right? I would like us to have a relationship with vendors where we are prioritized, where Kalos is their #1 client. They like working with you. They want to get you that scissor lift. They're willing to go over some hurdles and challenges to make you a priority, right? And I think when we step back and we say, okay, let's build strong relationships with vendors, that's really a huge way that we can do it. It's not a blind respect. It's not, oh, you're a vendor, I have to, say, okay, you said that's not available, it's not available, right? That's not what I'm talking about. Clear, precise communication with that vendor and a mutual respect doesn't mean whatever they say is fine and A-okay. There's a difference there. So we need to establish what that actually looks like. I push pretty hard. I push vendors pretty hard, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I also understand they're in a tough spot. So what does that look like from their end? What is the solution? How can I help you achieve this goal? Is there anything I can do, right? Is there any way we can think outside the box? Because a lot of times the staple answer is, it's out of stock. Is it though? Is it really out of stock? 50% of the time, that's not actually the case. There's one or two somewhere. It might not be convenient, but work with me here. Like, I appreciate you. We do a lot of business with you. How can I get that one over there in Ybor? How can I get that one over there in Tampa? I want that one here in Orlando. How can I get that? So ask a lot of questions. Go dig deep. And when you have a respectful relationship, they'll want to work with you, opposed to decline, not respond to that email, and have it just be one of those, oh, I'm sorry, I was out of the office sort of emails. That's not helpful. You want them to see an email from you, oh, somebody from Kalos, let me take this. And that mutual respect will get you that in a lot of ways.
I want to mention quickly, too, that it's important to recognize the difference between the company that you're working with and the individual. So if you fail to see that individual and you fail to see what their personal role and goals might be, then sometimes you miss out. Especially if you're talking to somebody who's, their counter staff or their customer service, and there's somebody who you've developed a relationship with in the sense that they know that you're not a jerk to deal with. Maybe you've had a conversation or two, a little bit about them, you care about the person. And that's key because in terms of professional development, people are going to want to help you if they feel like it's actually a benefit to them in their career to do so. Right. Especially when it means sometimes they might be going a little bit around their authority chain, because a lot of times that's kind of what we're asking people to do. We're kind of saying like, hey, can you dig a little harder? Can you talk to your boss? Can you, and a lot of people don't want to do that because it ruffles feathers. It might make them look bad, but they might do it for you if they understand that helping you win is going to help them win. And that's an area where you can actually push a little bit harder in terms of asking questions and being like, come on, that's not good enough for me. I need a little better than this. Can you please help me? Like, please, I need it. Help me out here. If you have that relationship where they feel like you're going to have their back, and when they do achieve what you need, you're going to be the one who, when you're talking to their boss, says something nice about them. You're going to be the one who helps them progress in their career. A lot of times people are more willing to go to bat for you.
And when they do go to bat for you, just let them know you appreciate it. That's going to be a big one. That it meant something. It was helpful. The job went smooth. You see what they did. They went a little bit above and beyond there, right? And never throw people under the bus. That's kind of a rule across the board. It's never beneficial to throw people under the bus, and that includes vendors. So-and-so said it was ready, and now it's not ready. What happened? None of that matters. What ultimately matters is I need this to get a job done. Let's get this. Let's be, solution-based. Yeah, exactly. So that's the ultimate goal. Throwing people under the bus along the way doesn't help. When we're looking at this, I want us to keep an eye out for vendors that we could deal with. Not just vendors that we want to negotiate that we currently have, but also potential new vendors that we want to work with. So when I'm identifying here's some things that I look at. Do they have the right product mix for our organization? Do they have materials that we think are good? Do they fit our business? Do they service our areas? If it's a crane company, if it's a Connex company, equipment rental, copper, supplies, whatever it may be. Do they have what we need? When I say, are their prices competitive? We want to just have a brief view when we're searching for potential vendors. So when I say identifying vendors, that's what I'm saying. Big picture, look back, scan what are my options, and be able to identify vendors that may be a good fit for us as an organization. Location is going to be a big one as well. Where are they located? How many branches do they have? Where's our main hub? Where do we do a lot of work? Are they located near that? That's going to be a key one. Intangibles, will we be a priority customer? Meaning, are we just going to be, yep, they buy from us, they're just another number. Will we have an impact on their organization that's great enough for them to recognize the value that we're bringing to the table, right? Because we want that. When we have a vendor that we're working with, we want to be valued and appreciated, and those people that are willing to go above and beyond for us. So identifying that, will we be a priority customer? Will we be of value? Will we be treated with value and respect? Obviously, there's a certain level of quality. There might be a massive crane company that has a ton of crappy cranes that are going to break down and fall apart. That would be poor quality. Whether it's a product, is it really crappy product that we don't want to represent to our clients? So that's going to, we have to take that into consideration as well. Does the vendor share common goals with us? So are they looking to grow? Are they looking to help us grow? That's another a big one for me. What are some of those areas that they can say, yeah, Kalos is great? Will they share our name with other people that they know potentially is also a big one. So kind of keep that in mind. Do we have some common goals? Do they have a good reputation in the industry? So if, for instance, a crane company has a bad reputation, oh, they never show up on time. Well, that's going to be reason for pause. Like, do you want to go down that path or not? Do you really want to put the time and the energy into setting up a meeting and negotiating pricing? Probably not. So that's, again, we're just sifting through and identifying vendors that we want to work with. So that would be kind of the process that I would encourage all of you guys to be looking at and start stockpiling vendors that you think would be a good fit. We hit on this a little bit, but making the relationships a win-win and weighing the value of vendors. So here's some values that we have. Like I said, volume. Communication's a big one, and that goes both ways. I've personally had poor communication with vendors, and I've personally received poor communication from vendors. Neither of those are good. So we need to have clear, precise communication. And when it comes to pricing, we have to be extremely clear of what we're expecting. If we're not, I tend to hear what I want to hear, and they tend to hear what they want to hear. And they may be two different things, right? So that's going to be really key on pricing. And also availability is a big one. Because if I'm like, yeah, you think that'll be here in a week? Yeah, week or two. Well, I'm thinking a week, and he's thinking 2 weeks. He said 2 weeks, right? Week or two. So I'm hoping it's in a week, and he's saying it's 2 weeks, right? So we need to eliminate that gray area and say, but when? But what is the price? I need some more clarity. Help me understand what this is actually going to be. What is it, right? Because we want a solid answer. If they give you a wishy-washy answer, or I give somebody a wishy-washy answer, it's not good. Going down this list, knowing the market price, and that's looking through 4 or 5 vendors and knowing, hey, what can I kind of get this for, right? That's kind of your baseline. We should be getting better pricing than that, right? Obviously knowing your product, knowing who you're talking to. Maybe it might not be this branch guy. Maybe we need to talk to somebody else. We're getting to that size where we have the ability to talk to that next level of people, because there's always going to be different levels of pricing for vendors. There's going to be your average contractor, then there should be, we should be at priority. We should be at the top of the list, best pricing possible. Asking a ton of questions. Open-ended questions are great. Why does it cost me so much? Help me understand. I don't get it. Like, yes, I appreciate you offer shipping, but you only do that like once a week, so it's appreciated, but it's not 10% appreciated.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a nice perk, but at what cost? Elements, you're always going to want at least 2 people there. If you don't, you get in your way. You're justifying it. You're negotiating against yourself before you know it. As we dig into that deeper, having at least 2 people involved, letting them come up with the first best price first, that's where you negotiate down from. They know that. It's not like they don't know that. They know that. They're expecting that. If they've done any negotiating, they're expecting that. Also know what your number is, right? Where do you want to be? I'm not saying it won't be better than that. Sometimes it is better than that. Now, you might say, well, 10% would be good, right? So, but it's good to have conversations, these types of conversations. And I would have to do a lot of research into the electrical specific materials and market to be better educated on it. I can't go in blind. I can say 15%, but by the time I look at their numbers, I might be like, I was wrong, it's 20. I was wrong, it's 10. And we can go from there. But before we dig in too deep, we want to analyze all of that and figure out, what do we really believe is a fair price? What do we believe that win-win number is? That contractor will make their 10% and we're not getting screwed over, right? Sure, we'll take in all the benefits that they have, the shipping, we'll pay a percent for that. Their location, we'll pay a percent for that, whatever. But beyond that, we gotta get good pricing. So this slide here, are we a priority customer? These are some things that add value to vendors that we want to consider. Are we considered a priority customer? You know, if you need 2,000 feet of Cat 5, 2,000 feet of wire, and they only have 2,000 feet of wire, are we going to get it? We want to get it, right? So if it comes to, does Kalos get it, or does Bob in a truck get it, we would like to be valued there, right? We would like to have established that relationship. We would like them to realize that, hey, we're here for the long haul. We're not here this year and gone next. We're here. They're going to take care of us, so that way we don't have any reason to search anywhere else, right? If they lose Bob in a truck, bummer, but it's not $1 million walking out the door. So we need to take that into account. Also, we need to reevaluate pricing every year or two. And there's two sides of that. Inflation is a real thing. Right now, vendors are reevaluating their pricing every quarter, and it's always going north for us. In turn, we are steadily growing as an organization, so the value we're bringing to that vendor is steadily increasing, right? So there may be quarters where they say, hey, XYZ's got a 10% price increase, and your response may be, I think mine needs to only go up 5. I think 5 sounds better. Can you do that for me? Maybe they can. Another big thing that I think, let me bump forward here. I think we're pretty much to the end. Some closing tips. But another big thing, why pricing is so critical to me. Yes, I want vendors to make 10%. But when we get really good pricing, that really enables us to do more with vehicles, compensation, how we're paying people, potentially job bonuses. Like, I would much rather see you guys as a team, us as a team, benefit from some good conversations, from some win-win relationships, rather than seeing so-and-so vendor 3x their profit over 3 quarters. I would much rather see those funds come to us and be distributed and adjusted and rewarded to the boots on the ground, the people actually doing the work.
Thanks for watching our video. If you enjoyed it and got something out of it, if you wouldn't mind hitting the thumbs up button to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notifications bell to be notified when new videos come out. HVAC School is far more than a YouTube channel. You can find out more by going to hvacrschool.com, which is our website and hub for all of our content, including tech tips, videos, podcasts, and so much more. You can also subscribe to the podcast on any podcast app of your choosing. You can also join our Facebook group if you want to weigh in on the conversation yourself. Thanks again for watching.